I never thought I'd spend my 62nd birthday reviewing security footage from my own restaurant at 3 in the morning, watching my nephew try to destroy everything I'd built over 40 years. But here I was, and what I saw made my blood run cold. It started 3 weeks earlier, on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. I was in the kitchen of Hartley's Steakhouse, the restaurant my late wife Emma and I had opened back in 1983. She'd passed away 18 months ago, and the restaurant had become both my comfort and my purpose. Every sizzling steak, every satisfied customer, every moment in that kitchen kept me going. My nephew Marcus had been working as my assistant manager for the past year. After his parents died in a car accident 5 years ago, I'd tried to be there for him. He was 34, my only living relative besides some distant cousins in Oregon I hadn't seen in decades. When he asked for a job last year, saying he wanted to learn the business, I'd welcomed him with open arms. That Tuesday I'd left early to visit Emma's grave, something I did every week. I usually came back after closing, around 11, to do paperwork in my office. But that day, something made me return earlier than usual. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was Emma looking out for me from wherever she was. I parked in my usual spot behind the restaurant and walked toward the back entrance. That's when I heard voices coming from the partially open window of my office on the second floor. I recognized Marcus's voice immediately, but the woman speaking with him was unfamiliar. Sharp, calculating, nothing like the friendly tone you'd use in casual conversation. "The lawyer said it's actually easier than we thought," the woman was saying. I froze, my hand on the door handle. "We just need to establish a pattern of cognitive decline. Memory issues, confusion, poor decision-making. And the doctor you found? That was Marcus. Dr. Philip Stevens. He's done this before, Marcus. For the right price, he'll testify that your uncle shows clear signs of dementia, early onset, progressing rapidly." My heart started pounding. I pressed myself against the wall, out of sight. "But Uncle George is sharp as hell," Marcus said, and for a moment I felt a flicker of hope. Everyone knows it. The staff, the regulars, the suppliers. That's why we need to document the opposite. I've been researching this, baby. You start by making him look confused in front of witnesses. Change his medication schedule so he seems disoriented. Move things around so he can't find them. Create situations where he appears to be losing it. Vanessa, I don't know. Don't go soft on me now. You said yourself this place is worth $3 million minimum, probably $4 million with the real estate. Once he's declared incompetent, you're his only family. Power of attorney goes to you, and we can sell. We'll be set for life. The words hit me like a physical blow. My nephew, my brother's son, the boy I'd taught to ride a bike, the young man I'd given a job when he needed one. "What about the staff?" Marcus asked. "Rosa's been here since the beginning. She knows Uncle George better than anyone. Then we make sure she's discredited too. Loyal employee defending her boss, refusing to see what's obvious. Or better yet, we can plant doubts about her. Suggest she's been stealing, keeping him confused to cover her tracks. 2 birds, 1 stone. Rosa had been our restaurant manager for 38 years. She'd been Emma's best friend, the godmother to the daughter we'd lost to leukemia when she was just 7. The thought of them trying to destroy her reputation too made something harden inside me. I stood there for another minute, listening to them plot the details. Then I quietly walked back to my car and sat there, shaking. Not from fear, from rage, from betrayal so deep it felt like someone had reached into my chest and squeezed my heart until it stopped. But I didn't confront them. Not yet. Something Emma used to say came back to me. "George, you charge in like a bull. Sometimes you need to think like a fox." So instead of charging in, I went home and started thinking. That night, I called my old friend, Detective Raymond Cooper. Ray had been coming to Hartley's every Friday for 20 years. We'd watched our kids grow up together, attended each other's family barbecues. When I told him what I'd heard, there was a long silence on the line. "George, I'm going to be straight with you. What you're describing is elder financial abuse. It's a felony, but right now you've got voices through a window and no proof. We need evidence. Solid, documented evidence. Tell me what to do. Do you have security cameras?" "In the restaurant, yes. 4 in the dining area, 2 in the kitchen, 1 at the register." "What about your office?" "No. Never thought I needed one up there. Get one installed tomorrow. And George, don't let Marcus know. Also, start documenting everything. Every conversation, every interaction. Dates, times, witnesses. Keep it somewhere he can't find it. The next morning, I called a security company I'd used before, owned by a former customer. I told him I needed a camera installed in my office discreetly, that day, and why. He arrived at noon when Marcus was out meeting with suppliers. We mounted a small camera in the bookshelf, hidden behind a row of cookbooks Emma had collected. You'd never spot it, unless you knew exactly where to look. It'll record to a cloud server, Dave the installer explained. You can access it from your phone or computer. Motion activated saves everything for 90 days. Thanks, Dave. I owe you. No, you don't. My mom's 86, George. If someone tried to do this to her, I'd want someone looking out for her too. Over the next week, I watched and waited. Marcus started acting differently around me. Small things at first. He'd ask me the same question twice, then look concerned when I pointed it out. He'd tell me we had a meeting scheduled that I had no memory of, making a big show of checking his calendar in front of staff members. Uncle George, don't you remember? You told me yesterday we needed to review the vendor contracts today. I didn't say that, Marcus. You did, Uncle George. Rosa heard you. He'd turn to Rosa, who'd look uncomfortable, but shake her head. I wasn't there for that conversation, she'd say carefully. On Thursday of that week, I found my prescription medication bottles had been moved from where I always kept them in my bathroom medicine cabinet. They were in the kitchen, next to the coffee maker. When I asked Marcus about it, he looked concerned. Uncle George, you moved them there yourself this morning. You said it was easier to remember to take them with your coffee. Don't you remember? I remembered no such thing. But 2 of the staff had been present for this conversation I apparently had with myself. That night, reviewing the security footage from my office, I watched Marcus and Vanessa go through my files. She was photographing documents with her phone, papers I recognized as the restaurant's financial records, my personal medical files, the deed to the property. This is perfect, Vanessa said on the video. Look at this. His handwriting's gotten shakier over the past year. We can use that. That's because he broke his wrist last winter, Marcus said. They don't need to know that. It's all about building a narrative, baby. I forwarded the video to Ray immediately. The next day, Rosa knocked on my office door. She was 60 years old, had raised 3 kids while working at the restaurant, and had eyes that missed nothing. George, can we talk? Of course. Close the door. She sat down across from my desk, her hands folded in her lap. Something's wrong. I don't know what exactly, but Marcus is asking weird questions. About your memory. About whether you've seemed confused lately. And that girlfriend of his has been hanging around a lot, watching you. I studied her face. Rosa had been there when Emma died, had held my hand at the funeral, had checked on me every single day for months afterward. If I couldn't trust her, I couldn't trust anyone. Rosa, I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to keep it completely confidential. Can you do that? You know I can. I told her everything. The conversation I'd overheard, the security camera, the evidence I'd been gathering. Her face went from shocked to angry to determined. What do you need me to do? I need you to act normal. Don't let on that you know anything. But I also need you to document everything you see or hear. Times, dates, witnesses. Can you do that? Consider it done. George, I'm so sorry. Your own nephew. I know. But we're going to stop him. Over the next 10 days, the pattern became clear. Marcus was systematically building a case that I was losing my mental faculties. The security camera caught him going through my desk, photographing my handwritten notes and making them look like confused ramblings. He'd rearrange my office when I wasn't there, then express concern when I couldn't find things. Vanessa, I learned from Rosa's observations, had been talking to several staff members, casually asking if they'd noticed George seeming forgetful, wondering aloud if running a restaurant was getting too stressful for someone his age, planting seeds. But they made a mistake, a big one. On a Friday evening, our busiest night of the week, I watched via the security camera as Marcus and Vanessa met in my office while I was downstairs in the kitchen. They thought I'd be there for hours, the way I usually was during dinner service. Dr. Stevens confirmed he'll do the evaluation next week. Vanessa said. I told him to schedule it for late afternoon when George is usually tired. He'll seem more confused then. And the lawyer? Already drawing up the incompetency petition. Once we have Dr. Stevens's evaluation, we file. The lawyer thinks we can have power of attorney within a month. Then we put the restaurant on the market immediately. What about Uncle George? What about him? We put him in a nice memory care facility. One of the cheaper ones, obviously, since we need to preserve capital. He'll be comfortable enough. Marcus hesitated. He was good to me, Vanessa. After my parents died, he was there. And now it's time for you to be smart about your future. Our future. Stop being sentimental. This is business. I watched Marcus nod slowly on the screen. That's when I knew for certain that my nephew wasn't being manipulated. He was a willing participant. But I had one more card to play. That night, I called a family meeting. I told Marcus I wanted to discuss the future of the restaurant, that I'd been thinking about retirement, and could he and Vanessa come to my house Sunday afternoon. Of course, Uncle George. I'm glad you're thinking about this seriously. I also called Ray, my lawyer Janet Pierce, Rosa, and Dave, the security guy. I asked them all to be at my house Sunday at 2 p.m. What Marcus and Vanessa didn't know was that they'd be walking into something very different from what they expected. Sunday arrived. At 1:30, Ray and Janet arrived at my house. We set up recording equipment in my living room. Rosa came in through the back door. Dave was positioned in my home office with his laptop, ready to stream the security footage from the restaurant. At 2 p.m. sharp, Marcus and Vanessa arrived. They both looked pleased, confident. Vanessa was carrying a leather folder that I suspected contained the paperwork for their scheme. Uncle George! Marcus hugged me. It felt like being embraced by a snake. Thanks for setting this up. I think it's really important we talk about your future. Our future, Vanessa corrected with a smile. We're family now. They weren't married. She just assumed she'd be part of the windfall. Please, sit down, I said. I've asked a few other people to join us. I hope that's okay. That's when Ray stepped out from the hallway, his detective's badge visible on his belt. Janet emerged from the kitchen. Rosa came in from the back door. Marcus's face went white. What is this? Vanessa demanded. Marcus, what's going on? Uncle George. I don't understand. Sit down, I said, and something in my voice made them both sink into the chairs. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. You're going to listen. And then you're going to make a choice. I nodded to Dave, who started the video presentation on my TV. The security footage from the restaurant played out in crystal clear detail. Their voices filled my living room. The lawyer said it's actually easier than we thought. We just need to establish a pattern of cognitive decline. We played 15 different conversations over the course of 2 weeks. Every scheme, every manipulation, every cold-blooded plan to steal my business and lock me away. Vanessa's face went from red to pale as a sheet. Marcus looked like he might throw up. When the last video ended, I looked at my nephew, the boy I'd taught to make the perfect medium-rare steak, the young man I'd comforted at his parents' funeral. I had Detective Cooper here research Dr. Philip Stevens. Turns out he's lost his medical license in 2 other states for exactly this kind of fraud. He's currently under investigation in Arizona. The DA there is very interested in your girlfriend's connection to him. Uncle George, please? Marcus started. I'm not finished. Janet here has drawn up 2 sets of documents. In the first set, you both confess to conspiracy to commit elder abuse, fraud, and attempted theft. You agree to never contact me again, to leave the state within 30 days, and to surrender any claim to my estate. In return, I won't press criminal charges. And the second set? Vanessa's voice was ice. In the second scenario, I press charges. Detective Cooper already has enough evidence for arrest warrants. Elder financial abuse is a felony in this state. You're looking at up to 10 years in prison. Both of you. Dr. Stevens will testify against you to save his own skin. The lawyer you hired will do the same. The room was silent except for the sound of Vanessa breathing heavily. There's no statute of limitations on elder abuse in this state, Janet added, and the evidence is overwhelming. I've practiced law for 30 years. This is the most open and shut case I've ever seen. You're bluffing, Vanessa said, but her voice shook. Try me, I replied. Rosa, how many employees would testify about the questions Vanessa was asking them? All 12, Rosa said firmly. Every single one. Marcus finally found his voice. Uncle George, I'm sorry. I never meant. Vanessa said it would be easy, that you'd be taken care of. You were going to put me in a cheap memory care facility and steal everything I've spent my life building, everything your aunt and I created together. And you were willing to destroy Rosa's reputation to do it. We didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant every word. I heard you. Vanessa stood up suddenly. Fine, we'll sign your papers. But you're a vindictive old man, and you're going to die alone. Probably, I agreed. But I'll die free, in my own home, surrounded by people who actually care about me. You'll die knowing you tried to betray family for money and failed. They signed the papers. Janet notarized them. Ray made copies for his files. Marcus couldn't meet my eyes. Vanessa glared at me with pure hatred. You have 30 days, I said. If you're still in this state on day 31, the criminal charges will be filed automatically. Janet has them ready. After they left, I sat down heavily on my couch. The adrenaline that had kept me upright drained away, leaving me exhausted. Rosa sat beside me and took my hand. You did the right thing, George. Did I? He's my nephew. My blood. Blood doesn't give anyone the right to destroy you, Ray said quietly. I've seen too many cases like this. Elder abuse is an epidemic. You had the courage to fight back. Most victims don't. That was 6 months ago. Marcus and Vanessa left the state within 2 weeks. I heard through the grapevine that they moved to Nevada, where Vanessa already had another scheme in progress with a different elderly target. I passed that information to Ray, who passed it to law enforcement there. Last I heard, she was finally facing criminal charges. Some people never learn. I stayed at Hartley's Steakhouse. After everything that happened, some of the regular customers heard rumors and asked me about it. I was honest with them. The response surprised me. Business actually increased. People respected that I'd stood up for myself. I promoted Rosa to co-manager and gave her a profit-sharing agreement. She'd earned it 1,000 times over. We hired her son Miguel as assistant manager. He's learning the business the right way, and he actually cares about the place. I also started a consulting relationship with the local council on aging. Once a month, I go there and talk to seniors about elder abuse, about warning signs, about protecting themselves. I share my story. I tell them that being old doesn't mean being weak, and family doesn't get a free pass to exploit you. Emma's grave is just 10 minutes from the restaurant. I still visit every Tuesday. I tell her about what happened, about how I found the strength to fight back, about how I think she'd be proud. You always said I needed to think like a fox, I tell her headstone. I finally learned. The restaurant just celebrated its 42nd anniversary. We had a huge party, all the staff and their families, hundreds of regular customers, even some news coverage from the local paper. There was a moment during the party when I looked around at all these people, at the business Emma and I had built, at everything we'd created together, and I felt grateful. Not grateful for what Marcus tried to do, but grateful that I'd caught it. Grateful for Ray and Janet and Rosa and Dave. Grateful for the security camera hidden in a bookshelf. Grateful for the instinct that made me come back to the restaurant early that day. I'm 63 now. I don't know how many years I have left. But I know this. I'll spend them on my own terms, in the place Emma and I made together, surrounded by people who see me as a person, not a bank account to raid. And if my story helps even one other person recognize the warning signs, stand up for themselves, protect what's theirs, then maybe some good came from Marcus's betrayal after all. I learned that the people who owe you love aren't always the ones who give it. Sometimes love comes from the flight attendant who risks her career to warn a stranger, from the detective who takes your call at midnight, from the employee who's been at your side for 4 decades, from the security installer who rushes over because he's thinking about his own mother. Real family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up when you need them most. And as for Marcus and Vanessa, I hope they learned their lesson. But I suspect they didn't. People like that usually don't. They'll move on to the next target, the next scheme, until finally someone stops them for good. I just made sure that someone wasn't going to be me. The security camera is still in my office. I check it sometimes, not because I'm paranoid, but because I'm careful. I keep my important documents in a safe deposit box now. I have regular cognitive assessments from a doctor I trust, just to prove I'm sound of mind. And I've updated my will to leave the restaurant to Rosa and Miguel, with strict instructions that it should remain a restaurant, honoring Emma's memory. They tried to make me a victim. Instead, they made me vigilant. And that's a lesson every elder in this country needs to learn. Because the sad truth is that elder financial abuse is everywhere. It's the fastest growing form of abuse in America. Adult children stealing from aging parents. Caregivers exploiting those they're supposed to protect. Scam artists preying on the vulnerable. But we're not as vulnerable as they think. We're not confused. We're not senile. We're not obstacles taking up space. We're people with rights, with dignity, with the law on our side, if we're brave enough to use it. I was lucky. I overheard the truth before they could destroy me. Not everyone gets that chance. But if you're reading this, if you're hearing this story, take it as a warning and a call to action. Document everything. Trust your instincts. Don't ignore warning signs. Keep your important papers safe. Have regular assessments. Build a network of people you trust. And if someone tries to take advantage of you, whether they're family or not, fight back. You're worth fighting for. Emma used to say that every night when she'd come home from the restaurant exhausted. We're building something worth fighting for, George. Don't ever forget that. I didn't forget, love. And I didn't stop fighting. Not for the restaurant, not for the money, but for the simple right to live my own life, make my own choices, and decide my own fate. That's not too much to ask. And it's not too much to fight for.